In this session, we will handle the issue of teams. We will look at team building techniques, we will look at group dynamics, and we will look at team effectiveness. How do we make a team effective? After all, teams are what is most important when it comes to strategy implementation. To get a large number of people to perform functions that they have been assigned in order that that particular strategy will come about. So team building, team formation, team dynamics, team behavior, these are all very essential issues in strategy implementation. If you see a crowd of people somewhere, right, a group of people somewhere, right, now a random collection of people, that's a crowd, right? We talk of crowds. We talk of crowds at railway stations, right? We talk of crowds in markets. That's really a random collection of people. Now, how does a group differ from this crowd, right? A group is also a collection of people, but a group differs from a crowd because a group has a sense of identity. Every person in that group says they belong to that group for a particular reason. There is a sense of identity. Then there is a sense of loyalty. So if you talk about a group, right, you're talking about the Indian cricket team. The Indian cricket team has a sense of loyalty towards a particular organization, and ultimately a group has a sense of purpose, right? A group is constituted for a particular purpose. It has that sense of purpose. So this is what distinguishes a group from a random collection of people. We have different kinds of groups. You have informal groups, for instance. Now, a very important example of an informal group is what's called the primary working group of an individual. Let's take a person who is working in the quality control department of a company, right? Now, in the course of working, this gentleman, this individual, he interacts with people in the production department, interacts with people in the purchase department, with people in the finance department sometimes, and sometimes in the marketing department, right? So this whole collection of people whom he interacts with, right, this is called the primary working group. This is not a well-defined group of people. It's not a formally structured group of people. It's an informal group. It's an informal structure. On the other hand, in any organization, you have a number of groups which are formal groups. They are groups that are constituted for a specific purpose. These groups could be either teams constituted for a particular activity. Let's say that the organization wants to enter a particular new market segment. So it constitutes a team comprising of people from various departments, right? From the market research department, from the marketing department, from the design department, right? From the production department. So it comprises of this group, this team, and then sends them into that particular market segment to study it, to evaluate it. So this is a team formed in a company. Or you could have something called a brainstorming group. We'll look at this in a short while. Or you could have quality circles. We'll again look at this in a short while. Now, teams are groups of people who are formed for certain specific purposes. Okay, they could be different kinds of purposes. The formation of a team is not always for the same kind of purpose. For instance, you could form a team, a company may form a team to share skills across structure, right? See, typically a company is structured functionally. You have a marketing department and a procurement department and a finance department and an HR department. But for a particular function, the company may require people from different departments. For instance, a company which is a relatively newer company, if it decides to establish a company newsletter, this company newsletter would definitely require a team to be constituted, and this team would be across structures, right? There would be people bringing in different kinds of skills from different kinds of departments. So that's one purpose for constituting the team. Or you could have a team made to increase communication. Let's assume a situation where there is a market research department and there is a design department. Now these two departments work together. The managers of these two departments work together. They keep meeting continuously. But if the company needs to increase interaction between these two departments, then the company may constitute a team of a few people from each department, some from the market research department and some from the product design department, may constitute that team and say that the purpose of this team is to achieve this particular objective. Make sure that this particular kind of design is ready by a certain time period. So, increasing communication between people may be the reason why the team is constituted. Or you might have a situation where the company needs to evaluate a particular idea, right? Somebody comes up with the concept that we could make a sort of device which will render some of our other products irrelevant, okay? Or perhaps let us say somebody else may come up with a device which makes some of our products irrelevant. Now this is an idea which needs to be evaluated within the company. To evaluate this idea, you need cross-functional skills for which a team may be constituted, or the team may be formed for training. Now you need to train a group of people to achieve a certain task. You find that in the company there are a number of people whose IT skills are relatively backward, right? So such people are formed into a team. This is a team of people whose IT skills are relatively immature, and that team is constituted because they are going to be trained on more sophisticated IT skills. Then ultimately there is the question of consensus building. Sometimes teams are made to create consensus, or rather to help build consensus. You take one member from each department, you constitute a team, you expose them to a particular idea, then they go back and talk to their own departments, they come back and discuss the idea again. This is how a consensus evolves, right? So evolution of a consensus could be another reason for team formation.